everybody, and welcome to another episode of Chill Adventures. As you can see, this is a little bit different of an episode. Number one, I hope that the wind isn't too crazy. What I have done for this episode is I have a GoPro over there filming, and then I also have this GoPro right here hearing my voice. I wanted to get a nice mix of view and audio, lake surfing for dummies, lake surfing 101, whatever you want to call it. And I figured I would brave the cold a little bit for the views, if you know what I mean. I got this GoPro kind of like down here in my jacket, so I hope that it's not too muffled. I also hope that the wind isn't ruining everything. So yeah, first things first, everybody should subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and subscribe. I work my balls off. I appreciate it. If you've watched more than one of my videos, you kind of owe it to me. Number two, my hands are already getting cold, so I am going to go get some gloves real quick. And we're back. So this vlog was made in part by in whole, it was Grom's idea, 30-year-old Grom's idea. If you don't know who the 30-year-old Grom is, type that into the YouTube search panel and subscribe. At any rate, I wanted to kind of give a rundown of just lake surfing in general. Obviously, one of the big things is being cold. The shelf ice has started. We are done surfing for the year, unfortunately, but yeah, being cold is a part of it. But I won't get ahead of myself, as I have a list. So if you see me looking down, I got my phone right here. I asked some questions on a community post and I got a few, so I've added those. I might have filmed this before some of the people got in, so sorry about that. I might film a little bit more and then do another little bit at the end of this. So yeah, basically, like, I got started surfing one day. It was the fall before the coronavirus started. I've always been a beach guy, but I never went to the beach when it was crappy outside. And that's really the only time when we lake surfers can surf, or at least when it gets good. So one day, I think it was like August or September, I showed up at the beach, people surfing. Then like the next week, I went and got a bodyboard. That wasn't enough after literally one time, so I got the gear, and the rest is history. It was, like I said, it was like the fall before the corona. I'm gonna say the August before the coronavirus started. And then once the coronavirus hit, I was one of those lucky people who was getting tons of free money from the government somehow. I made more on those years than I've made working, and believe it or not. So the free time compiled with all of that extra money, I just basically blew it all on learning how to surf and editing and stuff like that. And I don't regret that at all. So basically, some of the finer points. When do we know to go? Basically, these are all wind generated waves, short period wind generated waves. I personally use Windfinder, but there's a lot of surf apps, wave forecasting apps you can get. But yeah, basically, if the wind is blowing in the summer more than 20, or in the winter more than 10, you can bet yourself that there's some waves somewhere. But yeah, there's cams too. You could just type in lake surf cams, lake surf apps, wave forecasting apps. Yeah, and then you know, the big thing, I'm going to go back to this a lot, is again, with all of that extra coronavirus money, I got skunked a lot, and I went to spots that might not have been the best choice, and then I learned. Moving on, how do we know the best place to go? Again, for a long time, I just went to every spot, and some spots were terrible, and I remembered, all right, this specific wind and this specific spot don't work, and I'm still learning. Every pier is angled different. Every beach is angled different. And once you get to know the pier, because that's basically what we do. If the wind is blowing out of the north, we go to the south side of the pier. If the wind is blowing out of the south, we go to the north side of the pier. Any spot with a pier it's not a secret spot. A lot of people like to say don't name any spot. If you're going to a spot with the pier, you can see the pier from space. It's not a secret. The secret spots are the spots inside of a bay or sheltered by some land that you might not think of, or in a really hard spot to get. Those are the secret spots that you don't tell anyone about, or you only go to if someone brings you. But if we're talking about a massive pier that's like 1,000 yards long, well, actually 2 of them, because every spot has 2 sides, a north and a south pier. Give me a break. But anyways, you find a pier, you hide behind it depending on the wind, but you got to know those piers. Every spot is different. Hello everybody. We had a bonus question come in. It's the next day, but the sky is still blue. It wasn't earlier, it is now. That's why I'm doing this. Look at Bubbins. Anyways, the first bonus question, as we have 2, comes to us from a gentleman named the Cockney Buddha, otherwise known as Steve, from Florida, hailing from England somewhere. Anyways, he wanted to know, why does he see lake waves that are comparable to ocean waves, mostly seen on the East Coast? And that would be because, Steve, you're tuned into Chill Adventures, and I charge the best lake waves that we can find somewhere here or wherever I am. But I appreciate the question. We got one more from the legend himself, El Gromarino, but that one will come next. I gotta go take a shower. It's like 3 o'clock and I haven't done anything yet. Let's go for a car ride. Thanks, Steve. Let's go. Lake surfing and ocean surfing is completely different. The waves out here are not as powerful. They're generally not as big. But on the same token, you know, we're in fresh water. There's no wildlife that's going to get us. One of the first viewer questions that we can get to is Alberta Schoolie Adventure. She asks, how bad are the rips, and has anyone ever been swept out? The rip currents on the lakes are actually really beneficial because generally, again, they're right next to the pier, and we use the rip current to get out. So on the lake, compared to the ocean, the rip current stops basically at the end of the pier. So we get real close to the pier and we get in the rip current, and then we don't have to paddle as hard to get out back. So we actually use them, and then once the rip gets towards the end of the pier, it sort of dissipates, and then you can just break free of the rip. So there's a couple spots that rip current might be dangerous, but the lake is not like the ocean in that once you get out, the currents aren't going to keep pushing you. The currents are basically going to stop, and then everything is going to push you back into the beach. So to answer your question, no one's been swept out on accident. And to get in, you just swim away from the pier or away from whatever structure is causing the rip. In turn, when we're out in this kind of weather, obviously we don't go out when there's this much shelf ice, but it's cold. It's cold. The water freezes at a different temperature than the ocean, and we have to deal with that. So the next viewer question was, how do you not get hypothermia? This was from Lee Willie. I personally choose to wear 6mm everything. That's a wetsuit with a hood, 6mm gloves, and 6mm boots. They make up to 8, make 8mm wetsuits, 8mm boots and gloves, and the wetsuits and stuff are insanely good. Like, even subpar wetsuits will keep you warm for a shocking amount of time in weather like this. Yeah, you get cold, but hypothermia can actually, it still can happen when your wetsuit freezes over, and you'll slowly get hypothermic, and you just have to be really careful. It takes a really long time when you're out here in a wetsuit that's not flushing all the time, not filling with water and draining. And if you have good stuff, you can stay out long enough possibly to give yourself hypothermia, but it's not that dangerous of a thing. You do have to worry about your wetsuit freezing over, like your a lot of times you wear mittens, so like you don't have the use of your fingers. So when your zippers freeze up, you have to be able to either get your glove off or be able to get your zipper off with the mittens on. And sometimes that's hard. You got to worry about that. But as long as someone's with you and you can get in your car and turn it on, you don't really have much to worry about there. But yeah, so I will stick in the winter. I go 6mm everything, boots, gloves, wetsuit. In the summer, depending on the water temperature, because the lakes can do a thing called upwelling. When we get a big storm in the summer, it can take some of that 40-degree water from the bottom of the lake and dump it all down the shallows, all down the beach. And it can be 80 out and the water will be 40, and we'll be in 4 or 5mm wetsuits. But in the summer, I try to wear like a 1 or 2 mil just to not get sunburned all the time. But yeah, even in the summertime, you can get chilly, you can get cold, but hypothermia isn't necessarily like the biggest worry. I think the biggest worry out here is just surfing around other people who aren't necessarily skilled. So getting hit with a board, getting run over, someone turning right into you, those are the biggest dangers. Also with when the water raises, a lot of people build their houses and decks literally on the beach, and a lot of that wood will get washed in. Plus there's a couple spots with rocks on the Michigan side. On the Michigan side of Lake Michigan, that is, it's a lot of sand until you get up north. Wisconsin's limestone, Superior's limestone, Huron's a lot of rocks, but it's pretty safe around here. Hello everybody, welcome to bonus question number 2, the final bonus question, might I add you. First of all, thank you for watching this far. I didn't realize that having the GoPro like 30 feet away would make such a big difference, even in zooming. If I would have had the camera a little bit closer, it would have made the picture of the water and the shelf ice and the waves crashing against it a lot better. So audio was okay, video not so good. It's a learning process. I'm not so good at these talking vlogs, so I'm getting better and better as we go. It's been a few days, as you saw. It's actually February 11th, and I'm editing the video right now, and I think I might even put it up today, but the snow is gone. It's been really nice lately. There's still some shelf ice. Today might be a surf vlog, so we'll see. So the second bonus question comes in from the 30-year-old Grom. Go subscribe to his channel right now. I've said it a million times, and you should go do it. He asked, what are the top 5 things you need to know about lake surfing? First is, if you're new to surfing, always go with somebody. Number 2 is similar to number 1. Never go out if you're not sure. And 2B is never go out. If you're trying to paddle out and you keep getting rejected, like you can't get out, it might be a little too big for you. Number 3, I kind of touched on it before. Volume. Think about volume. Also, if you're a good athlete or you've surfed a little bit before, maybe not so much volume, but width. Also, if you're thinking about surfing in the winter, you're going to need 6 mil everything. There are days when it's really cold and really good and you're really going to want to go. And if you don't have at least 6 mil everything, you're going to be cold and you're not going to be able to stay out very long. And there's exceptions to every rule. Some guys can deal with it better, but I'm coming at you with facts. And get 6 mil stuff. And not all wetsuits are created equal. Number 5, get a van or something you can change in. To be able to, unless you live real close to the beach, but to be able to change in your car, especially if you have 2 wetsuits for when it's cold, get something you can change in. And also, if you can figure out a way to put your boards in your car always, it'll extend the life of them exponentially, especially in the winter when it's cold or in the summer when the sun's out. Thank you, Grom. Back to the episode. Let's go. The best and the worst part about surfing, particularly for me, the worst part are the other surfers, period, point blank. A lot of them are douchebags. I don't like a lot of them. A lot of them don't like me, and that's fine, but that's literally the worst part. It is the best sport I've ever done. It is so much fun. It is probably it's the best sport I've ever done. It could be the best sport ever. That will lead us into the next question. How does it compare to hockey? And there's actually 2 viewer questions. For anybody who doesn't know, I spent basically my whole life as a hockey player and a golfer. That's it. That's all I did. And I would go to the beach when it was beautiful out. But that's literally all I did. So it doesn't compare to hockey. Hockey can't compare to surfing. Hockey is great. It gave me a lot, but nothing compares to this. It's literally the best thing I've ever done. When you catch a wave, it's like you're flying. It's like you can't compare it to anything. So along with that, my buddy, one of my hockey friends, Casey Painter, asks for for the best chirping advice for men's league hockey. So when I was a hockey player, I was known for my chirping, and I guess the best advice is to make fun of their appearance. You got to get really petty, because hockey players don't have feelings, and the ones that do deserve to have them hurt. However, the best chirping advice, probably, because since I've retired, it's been a while since I've chirped, but definitely either go after their mother or appearance, for sure, Casey. Thank you for the question, by the way. And another question by a buddy of mine who's not only a hockey player, but he's been super supportive of the channel, always commenting, liking, doing all of the things. Matt Tomahawk. He asks, do we keep peeing the whole time we're out there to stay warm? Yes and no. I mainly do it for fun, but some other guys do it from time to time to stay warm. Thanks, fellas, for the question. I appreciate that. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about boards. So I find that when you're starting, definitely, if you've never surfed before, get a foamy, 8 feet or more. I've been surfing for about 4 years now, and with the amount that I go out and the amount that I surf and the fact that I'm trying to learn the right way, I am now down to a 7 foot and an 8 foot, both polyester boards, I believe. But if you're gonna get a hard board, a board that's not a foamy, definitely go for volume rather than length. Width and thickness are key, at least in the lake. If you have a board that's wide enough and you're athletic, it probably doesn't need to be that thick. But volume is key out here, at least when you're starting. And then, you know, if you get a 7 foot board with a ton of volume, it might behoove you quicker than getting a 9 foot board that's, you know, made for the ocean. But Shred Fargo has just basically, he went out and would only surf a short board, and he got it really quickly to get a short board. If he would have done all of that on a long board, he might be maneuvering more on a wave, but the skills with a short board wouldn't be there. So it's really what you make it. Ocean waves are more critical. They have more consequence, and you need to learn in a different way. Out here, you, at least on our side, with all of the sand on the bottom and the relative safeness of surfing, you can take a little more risk when you're starting. But again, getting hit with the board is getting hit with the board. So you always have to remember that. So I feel like my surfing goals are as follows. I want to become one of the best lake surfers that is around here. I do want to go to the ocean, and I would love to feel some of those waves, but I love the lakes. I love the quirkiness of the lakes. I love the novelty of the lakes. I love the hunting for waves on the lakes. I love I just love the lake surfing vibe. I love everything that comes along with this. I love how weird it is. I love how it's brought me into van life. So yeah, I want to become one of the best lake surfers. And a lot of people will say, like, surfing isn't about comparing yourself to others, and it's not. I'm not comparing myself to anybody, because there are a few really good lake surfers, but I'm doing it in a different way. I've never been to the ocean. I started when I was 30, and a lot of these other guys came from the ocean, so they learned on waves that are easier to learn on. They got those skills, and they got their reps on waves that are easier to catch and easier to read, and basically easier to surf. When you get to big waves, then it changes a little bit, or barreling waves, that changes a little bit. But if you were able to learn on the ocean and then come here, it's different than learning here and then, because if you want to learn on the lakes, you're learning in a handicapped environment. These waves are just so different in a negative way as far as learning goes than ocean waves. It's crazy. But yeah, I want to surf all the lakes. The only lake I haven't surfed is Ontario, so I want to do that. I want to go surf in Marquette some more. And yeah, I just want to. I haven't been to Wisconsin yet, and they possibly have. Well, they definitely have the best, cleanest waves on Lake Michigan. Not the biggest, but the cleanest, that's for sure. And yeah, maybe get to the ocean at some point. But I want to be known as the lake surfing YouTube guy. You know, the Midwest lake surfing YouTube guy. And then, you know, the channel, the future of the channel, surfing and van life. I don't think anything else is going to come up, barring, you know, something happening where I can't do one of the two. But yeah, surfing, van life, that's my shit. I am lucky enough to have found the job that I know that I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and that's working at golf courses. It connects me with the earth and, you know, my dad and my grandpa and my uncle. And it's funny that I was talking about golf and someone texted me with that. Anyways, so I found the career that I want, the real job that I want, and then surfing and making videos and van lifing, that's what I want to do outside of my work. So I feel like I'm one of the lucky ones. I quit drinking 11 years ago. I don't do drugs with the exception of smoking weed. I don't smoke cigarettes. My only vices are weed and coffee. And I found the career that I want, and I found everything else that I need as far as life. And I feel really lucky. And surfing brought me all of that. I wouldn't have found van life if it wasn't for surfing. I wouldn't have found surfing if I hadn't gone to the beach that day. And man, I would have never started this whole creative journey. I was just a weird guy, just a weird hockey guy. And then this has literally changed my life for the better. Let me see, did I miss anything? I don't think so. I hope that the audio wasn't too shitty, and I hope that this was a decent little backdrop for a video here. If I got any other questions, I haven't got any questions yet because I have my phone right here, but if I have any other questions by the time I finish editing this up, maybe I'll do a little ending from inside of the van with the extra questions that I got. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I can't believe that I'm almost getting 100 views on average, or more than 100 views on average on any video. It doubled in a short period of time. Yeah, I appreciate that. Once we get to 500 subscribers, I literally think that the channel will start to grow at a quicker pace. So share it, like it, comment, do all the things. I gotta let Bear out, and then we're headed to the storage unit. And then yeah, no more surfing, so I need to start making some van life videos. At any rate, let's go, Chill Adventures!